Audio, and there we go. So hello everybody and welcome to 3D Bootcamp by CADA Truemax. My name is Jennifer Hustelbruno and I am a teacher here at the school as well as a researcher here. Today we are going to be looking at Blender and we're going to go through all the controls and a quick little setup for things I think if you are new to this you should do at home. And of course, if you want to know more about 3D, you can look at our website. We have a 3D fundamentals course as well that is a bit more in depth. And if you're completely interested, we have 3DDA, which is our full education. So yeah, great. I think we should get into it. So,
you can give people like a couple of minutes more to join in.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Hi, welcome to. It's all right. Oh, we're a bit early. Perfect.
And we have some people from the chat saying hi from Japan, hi from Spain, hi from Denmark, and hi from Sweden.
Hi. It's great to see you all. Well, I don't see you guys online, but I do see you guys physically, and that's amazing.
And I'm the moderator in the background. If you guys have any questions for Chalfa during the stream, you're free to post them in the chat and we'll try to get them to answer them during the stream. So yeah, if you have any questions or you just want to say hi, you can write it in the chat and we will, of course, answer it.
Yeah. And the moderator is Vidar, our beautiful, beautiful resident ginger. And also to help around, we have my lovely assistant, Mito, who is also my conversationalist in rough patches. It's going to be great. So yeah, most of you, also you guys who are live, if this is the first time you're opening up Blender, you'll be met with the quick setup screen. This is the only time this will turn on, unless you go and delete your config, and that's a bit more technical and going around in Windows Explorer and stuff like that. But since if you're a beginner at this, the best thing you can do for yourself is switching the spacebar function here to search. Because if you're an animator, it might be nice to press space to have your animation play, but the hotkey for that anyway is shift space, so that doesn't really matter. What search does is allows us to search for whatever function it is we're going to use, and that is really, really nice for beginners. And then after that, det vil sige, du allerede har mit setup. Den skulle prøve at trykke på space. På keyboardet. Nej. Okay. Mito, preferences, change key binding. All right.
You can check with the chat and see
Yeah.
if everybody's available and ready with Blender. There's about 20 people left.
All right, great. Well, hello, welcome to the chat. I hope everybody's doing great and that you are having fun at home. And that it is, you're ready for Blender. We have a few people who are coming in a little bit late here live. We'll just get them in and get them ready.
We have someone saying that the mic squeaks a little every time Chalfa speaks. Can we get, Christian, can you go check your headphones, check the stream, check the quality of the sound, see if it's okay?
I can try to reposition my mic. I thought I had worn my pretty t-shirt today, but I realized it has a big zipper and might be taking up a lot of things now. That's not great. Yeah, so hi, my name is Jennifer, for you new guys. And I'm a teacher here at CADA Truemax. And we're going to be starting off with Blender today, and we're going to be modeling a barrel. And the first things we went through is in case you have, your computer has this quick setup screen on, and also for when you get home and if it's the first time you've installed Blender, what you should do for yourself is set the spacebar to search, because this will allow you to find whatever functions it is you look for and also get the key binding and stuff for it later. So this is really, really good for beginners because that means any function and tool you're looking for, you can just hit space and type it in and it will come up and you can hit enter and use it. And it's not hidden behind a bunch of menus and difficult to read text and things like that. It's a lot easier to have it on search. And in case you you are an animator and you want to animate, the space shift space is the hotkey for play anyway, so there's not really any reason to have the hotkey there at all. And then we can just click next. And this is the regular startup menu. This will open up every time you open up Blender. You can see out on the right-hand side, we have our recent files. This is whatever's been worked on recently on the computers. But today we want to go into new file and pick general. This will open up the general file. This is just a cube with a light and a camera. Now Blender is divided up into different areas. We have our 3D viewport here. We have our outliner in the side, and we have our properties tab. We will be mostly working inside the 3D viewport today. We might get into the properties, but let's see. So to begin with, we need to navigate inside Blender. And we do this by using the middle mouse button, and clicking it and holding it down will allow us to pan around the center of our screen. If we hold down Shift on our keyboard and click the middle mouse button, we can pan from left to right, or up and down, or diagonally, in any direction we really want to do. If we hold down Control and middle mouse button, we will zoom in and out smoothly. You can also zoom in and out by using the scroll wheel, but this does it in steps and might not be what you want. Last thing, we won't really be using it today, but in case you're curious, if you hold down Alt and pull in the middle mouse button, you'll snap to what's called orthographic view. Now, orthographic view is something that doesn't exist in real life. Orthographic view is a view without perspective, which is very useful when we're working with 3D. But for today, since we're going to be doing symmetrical things, we won't really be doing it that much. So I'm just going to press down middle mouse button and then navigate to the top of my scene and out again. If you get stuck or confused somewhere, up here in the right-hand corner of our 3D area, we have a little visual gizmo. And this allows us to snap and to move around as well. So that's if you want to have like more controller-ish thing to turn around on. Okay. So inside Blender, we can select things. If we left click and hold down left click and drag, we can have this beautiful selection box and we can select a lot of different things inside of Blender. We can also just simply left click on things to select them. And once things are selected, you can see they get outlined in orange. If you have multiple things selected, the main thing you have selected will be outlined in a little bit more yellowish orange. Oh, Mito? Yep, great. All right, so first things we want to do is drag a selection box over everything and then hit X on our keyboard because we want to delete it. And this is how we remove things from our scene. But we want to create things as well. And for the future, in case you need to know it, the way we add back things in is by pressing Shift and A on our keyboard. And this will bring up the Add menu. And the first one here is called Mesh. This is where all our visible 3D objects are. And we can select the cube, and we'll get back the cube we just deleted. Yeah. So everybody with us so far? I think so. Oh. Yeah. Is everybody with, or do we need some assistance? Yeah. In case you have moved away your cube and you want to move it back, there's this little arrow up here in the right-hand corner. If you click that or press Shift-N, you will get the transforms up. It's also these out here. Reset them to 0, the location, and it will jump right back to the start of your scene. It's just in case you happen to move it by accident. All right. So the three most used tools inside 3D are the rotation, the scale, and the location, or the grab tool in Blender. And to get to them, we can press G for grab. This will allow us to grab and then move freely in 3D space. R for rotate, and rotate freely in 3D space. Or S for scale, and scaling in 3D space. And to cancel any movement or rotation or scale, we can right click before left clicking, and this will cancel whatever it is we just did. Do note that if we use these hotkeys and we want to move in only one axis, this is then the next thing. Welcome to 3D. We have 3 axes, axi. We have the x-axis, that is the red one, the y-axis, which is the green one, and the z-axis, which is up and by default turned to be invisible. So if we press G and then Z, you can see I'm locked into my z-axis and only move up and down on this axis. Same if I do X or Y, and it also counts for the other tools. If you are in any way familiar with any other 3D tool, the rotation tool will be a little bit annoying, because instead of rotating with the axis, it rotates around the axis. So normally, if you rotate it in X, it will rotate with the X-axis and not around it, like we do now. All right. So we want to edit this barrel, or this cube, to become a barrel. But right now, it only seems like we have the scale and the grab and the movement tool. But we want to go in and start editing on the different parts, so we need to change to edit mode. And we can either do that by going up in the left-hand corner, where it says object mode right now, and then we can say edit mode. Or we can hit tab on our keyboard. It's the 2 arrows out on the left-hand side. And this will also bring us into edit mode. Now, inside edit mode, we can grab different elements of our object. The first one that it will be on by default is vertex mode. Now, vertex mode, well, vertices are points in space with location data on them. That's pretty much all they are. Which means we can only ever use the grab function. We can't scale them because they're just points in space with location data. That's all they are. We can't rotate them. But since the way Blender works is it takes the median point between 2 selections and uses that. It means if we select 2 vertices, we can rotate them because we're now rotating them around each other and around the center of their selection. Same if we use scale, now we can suddenly do this. What that also, well, so this leads into then the next element of any 3D object, which is an edge. If we press 2 on our keyboard, we'll go into edge mode, where we can now select edges. And edges are just vectors drawn between 2 vertices. And that's just a line. It sounds fancy, but it's not. It's just an edge. It's just a line. And when we have 3 or more edges, we can make a face. And we go to face mode by pressing 3 on our keyboard. And faces are what is visible in 3D. So vertices aren't visible on their own, and neither are edges, unless you do a lot of trickery. But faces are the visible part in 3D. So we can select the top face. Sorry, faces are the visible part in 3D. We can select the top face, press G, and then Z to move it upward so that we now have a rectangle. All right, just making sure everybody is with. I went through a lot of technical things and a lot of navigation and stuff.
We do also have one question from the live one.
Yes, you have a question.
Somebody's asking.
So we do also have a question from the live audience. Somebody's asking, Tim is asking, how do I do the edges again?
How we do the edges? We press 2 on our keyboard, and then this will bring us into selecting edges. Yep, perfect. Well, so I'm being told that more people have arrived. Welcome too. And yeah, so after we have made our rectangle, we want to start rounding this out a little bit. And some of you might be wondering, why didn't we do this from a cylinder? Well, it's because of something called topology. Topology is the way edges and faces flow around of an object, and this needs to be correct to be able to go further on in the process. Yes?
Just in terms of the questions, we have Edgar, who is on a Mac.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, different shortcuts or something?
So
Mac?
some of the shortcuts are different because Macs don't have all of the buttons that Windows PCs do. I have never sat on a Mac, so I do not know.
Can we...
Christian has a Mac, so I think he would be qualified to...
jump in and give it a hand. And then we also have Tim asking, he missed the part where Chalford told us how to rotate without holding the axis symbol in top right.
Middle mouse button.
Hold the mouse
clicking and holding down the middle mouse button allows you to rotate around. Yeah. And then Shift to pan back and forth, and Control to zoom in and out with middle mouse button. All right. So the next thing we want to do is we want to add more edges to this, but we want control over it, so we need to find our loop cut tool. Now there are two ways to find this. Well, there's three ways. We can either press space and type in loop cut, loop cut and slide, and there we go. It should highlight a yellow line. If it doesn't, click once, then it should come up. There you go. You'll get this yellow line, and you can click, and then it'll ask you to slide it, but if you right-click now, it'll just jump right back into the middle. If you want to add multiple loop cuts after each other, and you don't want to go through that whole sliding process, out here on the left-hand side, all the tools we're going to use are also out here, though they behave a little bit differently than if you use the shortcuts. For example, like you saw before, if I pressed my loop cut, there we go, clicked, it automatically goes into the edge slide. If I activate it out here, it doesn't. It just makes the loop cut, and I stay inside the tool. So I can add two loop cuts. I can add them to both of the vertical edges that go up like this. After that, I want to deactivate my tool if I activated it out here on the left-hand side, and I do that by pressing W. This brings us back to the selection tool. All right, so we have one of our loop cuts selected, but we want both of them selected at the same time. To do this, we need to hold Alt. This will allow us to select loops of edges or faces. And then if we hold down Shift, we can add to that selection. So now we have both of these selected. And now we want to scale these out. So if we press S to scale, we can now see that the top and the bottom sort of get a little bit funky, and that we don't want. We now realize we only want to scale out in two axes. So that means after we've pressed S for scale, we want to press Shift and then the axis we are excluding, the one we're not using. So that's Shift Z. And now you can see I am only scaling in my X and Y axis. And here I'm just gonna, scale it out until it feels about right to become a cylinder or octagon. That's the first one that normally trips people up, so I'll just give everybody a quick chance. Shift S, Shift Z. And I do not have my... All right. Alt, Shift, and hold that down, and then left click on it. There you go. S, Shift, Z. Because, yeah, there you can see. All right, just giving people a little quick chance to catch up. I hope everybody at home is doing fine. So. Oh, yes, of course. So, oh yeah, you got in a little bit late. So if you've already made the loop cut, if you press 3, you'll get into face mode and allow it to select faces like this. And then hold down Shift and you can select the 4 top faces. There you go. Then press G and Z and you can move it up. Yes. So that will, when you press the Z, X, or Y axis, that will lock it to that axis. Perfect. Alright. Så du har valgt hjørnerne. Det er kun de loops, vi har lavet rundt om toppen, eller rundt om de flade kanter. Nej, de horisontale. Så dem vi lige har lavet. Så hvis du holder Alt og Shift nede, så kan du
All right,
selecte.
guys, we're just trying to get everything working also for the Mac users. We're thinking maybe we can
så
do
nu
a
har
Discord
da du har
session
dem
later
selected,
on
så
or something like
unselecter den
that.
der.
But just
Så
at the
prøv at klikke
moment,
på dem nu.
try and follow along as best as you
Med
can.
Alt, Shift
I'll
og
try
hold
and get
nede.
Jaffa to catch you up.
Bum.
Christian
så
is
den anden.
looking for
Så
all the
der.
hotkeys and shortkeys. Is also a Mac user.
Yes. Og så holder du Shift nede, mens du trykker Z.
Shift S opens a menu for me. Hopefully Christian can fix that.
Yep.
Stein
Og
is
så er den låst
CSGO.
fast til de
I
to
play that
akser.
as well.
Yeah,
No worries if you're a
perfect.
bit late. You can follow along from where we are now, or you can always catch us in the replay. But yeah, welcome to the stream.
Yep. All right. It looks like almost everybody is with. You all right down there? What? If you hold Alt and Shift down, it should select the other one as well at the same time. You can undo things by pressing Control Z. But yeah, you have to select multiple edge loops or to select multiple things, you have to hold Shift down to add to your current selection. There you go.
So, Chalfa,
Yep.
just to catch up with the people on the live chat as well.
Yep.
We have some small issues with the Mac users who are not sure about the different shortcuts and they can't find them, but we have Christian trying to send them out.
Yes. Yeah.
And
So
then, yeah, Edgar, I know there were 2 people talking just for now, just to catch up at Chalfa as well.
Yep.
He says here, did you say that you do the course for Mac users? I think we're looking into a solution for how we can do that. Maybe Gabby on Discord or something like that. Somebody is still with the cube, and they couldn't really hear what the guy said, which is me, I guess. Hopefully you can hear me now. I should have the mic on. And yeah, so some of them are a little bit behind with the Mac users because they don't have the shortcuts for Mac.
There you go. I found a PDF with all of the translations. So I can send. No, I can't. Oh, I can. I'm on. There you go. There you go. I sent it to you on Teams. And yeah. And if not, this one is not a PDF. This is just a website that tells you.
I sent them the link. If it's not the right link, let me know.
Yeah.
Let's see. I think I'll follow this lesson and read the docs later. Yeah, that's a good idea, Edgar. I would recommend that as well. Stay with the here, and then you can always do the replay. And we had one more question I saw. Edgar says he can't see the tools on the left side.
You cannot, if you cannot see the tools on the left side, it's likely because they've been dragged in like this. That can happen quite easily. Then you'll have this little arrow up here on the top. Just quickly left click that, it'll come back. So, no, don't want to do that.
I think we can take a couple of questions more just to make sure that we have everything catched up. Tim says, how do we make it circular-ish?
So what I did is I went into edge mode by pressing 2, selected the 2 edge loops here, pressed S for scale, and then Shift Z to only scale out in the X and the Y axis.
And the last thing is for Stein's CSGO. We're using Blender today.
Yeah. Now ZBrush Core Mini is next week. Great. Cool. Well, let us move on. So we have a general tubular shape here, and we want to start making it into something that resembles a barrel, right? And to start off by that, we have to make what's called the bilge, that I've been wrongly calling the bulge for many months. It is called a bilge of a barrel. So we're just going to add an extra loop cut. And we're going to add it on the horizontal edges this time. And right after we add it, we are going to press W, deactivating loop cut. If you didn't use the tool out on the left-hand side, you might be cycling through your selection types. So, in case you suddenly cannot draw a selection box, that's why. Yeah, I can see some people are doing that. So maybe that's a quick, good way of thing to mention. We have 4 different selection types. We have select and tweak, where you can select one thing and then sort of move it around right away. W, or box select, which is standard. Draw select, where we can just draw or drag around and select everything. Draw, yes, both of them are called draw select. Actually, I think the other one's called circle select, but yeah, this one just allows us to draw funky shapes and select with that. I normally only use box select and tweak select because I'm weird. But yeah, we're going to select the edge loop we just made here. If you are having issues because it's selecting other edge loops, the way it decides which edge loops to select is where your cursor is the closest. So if I'm selecting this one, if my cursor is the closest to this way around, like following this way around, that's the one it's going to select. So yeah. And now we're going to scale this out. Volume up. Oh, okay, I can talk louder, I guess. We're going to scale this out. So one of the things that is interesting here is I'm not locking it to any axes. Because if something doesn't have a value in an axis, it actually won't scale in that axis. So if we don't have a value in the Z axis, it's not going to scale up in the Z axis. Because all scale is a multiplier. It multiplies whatever value is already there by however much you pull it. But we can pull this out. You can pull it out fairly far because we're going to make this like a little less extreme in just a few seconds. This might be a little bit too extreme. So that you have like, you can see we have this big angular shape. And what we're going to do now is called a bevel. So we're going to press Control and hold Control down and press B on our keyboard. And this will take the 2 edges that went into our, the edges we just scaled, and create a new face loop around that will take the average of them. So in this case, they'll be flat in the horizontal edges. Okay. And before we left click, in case you want to round this shape out even more, if you scroll on your scroll wheel, you will add more cuts to it, which means the shape will be rounder and rounder and rounder the more you add to it. Of course, I am just going to have, I think I'm going to have 2 edges going around the middle of mine, because that's what I prefer. That's what I'm going for here. There we go. And scale it up as much as you sort of want to, as much as you think looks nice. And now we have a general barrel shape. Yeah, I'm just gonna let everybody. It looks like everybody's with. B. Yeah, everything's good. Cool. So now we want to add a little bit more detail, because this could feasibly be a barrel in a computer game from 2001, but let us make a bit more and have it into 2022. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the top 4 faces, pressing 3 going into face mode, holding down Shift, and then selecting all 4 of them. Then I'm going to press middle mouse button to go to the bottom and select those 4. because I want the top and the bottom to be symmetrical. And while we do have symmetry tools, I have bad experiences with them and they don't work a lot of the time. So let's not tempt fate. And now we're going to make an inset in here. So we're going to press I on our keyboard, and this will, like our bevel, create a new face loop around our selection, but it is locked to the size of our selection. So we cannot make it bigger, we can only make it smaller. And I'm going to have mine at like what I would guess being a finger length, or like 10 centimeters, 5 centimeters, depending on it. And then left click to accept the action. And what has now happened is our top and bottom have both been inset the same amount, so that it's symmetrical on both sides. That means we don't have to do the same thing twice, and we don't have to be super precise, because we know it's the same size. Now we're going to use a tool called Extrude, and this is simply pressing E on the extrude. But the problem with the extrude is it moves along the Z axis. Now we don't want it to move along the Z axis because we want the top and the bottom to be the same amount of distance from what's it called? From the lip, the wooden parts. So what we're going to do instead is press S and Z, and this will lock the extrusion to the Z axis. But since we're scaling, we now have a uniform scaling from the median point. So if we pull them together, they are going to be the same amount into the barrel as they're going to be as on both sides. All right. See a hand? Yes?
Couple of questions here. Steiner says, for me, it just selects the whole cube. I think he might be a little bit further behind, though, with the edges. And
with the edges?
Yeah, so he asked earlier, I missed how you made it circular. And then Mito told him to press S, hold shift, and go to C. What's that?
S, shift, Z, yes.
Yes, exactly. And then he says it selects him the whole cube.
It selects the whole cube?
Yeah.
Then you're probably pressing A and not S.
There we go. Yeah, click S instead of A. And then Tim says, sorry guys, but can only see the top of the model changes when he tries to scale it.
Oh, so yeah, well that's because you can see here. Oh, there you go, like this. Because we know that we have both sides selected, so even if we can't see the bottom, we know that it changes because we have both of them selected. Everybody looks like they're there. Great. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing we just did, but instead of scaling in, well, so the same process we just did with the inset and the extrude, we're going to do again. Oh, I'm being manhandled.
I just realized that you have the mic upside down.
Oh.
That might explain some of the metallic noise that people had earlier.
I'm 3D. I don't know microphones.
Still upside down.
I'm visual.
Let's do it like that. That should work.
All right. Great. Thank you. All right. So we're going to press I again to inset. So now we're making another inset. And this is because we want a little like dip between the lid and the lip. Wow, those two words are closer to each other than I thought. And I'm going to make mine a little bit more extreme. You are welcome to make yours as thin as you want to, or as extreme as you want to. Get a little creative with it. It's good. And then we're going to press E, S, Z to extrude upward instead of inward this time. I'm going to try to have mine sort of in line with the edges of the other ones. It's okay if they go a little bit over or a little bit under. It's just a style choice, whatever you want. It's great. E, S, Z. All right. Yeah. Okay, I have a quick question.
Quick question follow-up from Steins. He says it scales the whole cube. Is the person who had an issue earlier with the selection? See if you can solve that.
If it scales the whole cube, that's because the whole cube is then selected.
Yeah. And he needs to press S, hold shift, and then Z to select parts of it, right?
Well, that will then only scale in the Z and the Y axis. So if you're scaling the whole cube, try pressing Tab to get into edit mode, in case you aren't already in edit mode. If you don't have the tab button because you're one of those on Mac, go up here in the left-hand corner. You can switch from object mode to edit mode. And then hold Alt and Shift to select edge mode. Alt and Shift to select the edges. And then Shift Z to select the ones we want to, you know, take out. What's up? Yeah? Inset. I. You can use extrude and then just S Shift Z. But inset works the same way.
Yeah, we have a couple more questions to briefly go through.
Yep.
Tim is asking, how did you select both sides?
I held, well, if it's both sides of the faces or both sides of the edges.
Both sides.
I pressed 3 to go into face mode, held down Shift, and then left-clicked while holding down Shift. So holding down Shift will just always add to your selection. So it doesn't matter where I click. And then clicking again on something will then deselect it and take it out of your selection.
Perfect. And then just a couple last things. DJ Sayori says, can't be master of everything. I think he's referring to the microphone being upside down.
Oh, yeah.
And Stein says that it's working. Edit mode wasn't on. Rosa is asking, what was the last thing you're doing? I think we'll get Mito to help out with that in the chat. But let's continue.
Oh, yeah. It's the lip and the lid of the barrel.
Excellent.
Yeah. So, yeah. So yeah, so that's the lip of the barrel. And the next thing we want to make is the, oh, sorry, I'm going a little too fast here. My hands are quicker than my mouth. Whew. All right. So we want to make the bands because we all know barrels have these very characteristic bands that go around them. And we're going to use these two edges that we made with our bevel earlier to make the bands. So we're simply going to hold Alt down to select the first one and Alt Shift to select the second one. And we're going to bevel these again. Now, it's important to note here that bevel remembers your settings from the last time you used them. So if you added extra loops, which you probably did, you need to scroll your scroll wheel until you don't have those extra loops. Yes?
Control B.
Oh, yeah. So if, in case anybody forgot the bevel hotkey, it's Control B. Or, again, if you need to remember it in the future and I'm not there to help, you can press space and type in bevel. Now, it will say Control E. Oh, I cannot use my, sorry, I can't use my hotkeys for the menu. So here, Control E is where you just get every extrude function ever. You get a big menu, but it also tells you the hotkey out here on the right-hand side, which is really nice for beginners because you'll, like I did this when I was learning Blender and I learned it while I was working at a company. I used the search function and for the first 10 times I wrote in bevel, extrude, these things, and then I saw that the hotkey was out here on the right-hand side and I just learned it after a while. All right. Oh. Yeah. You're in face mode. Yeah. All right. So, having made this bevel here, we can hold Alt and Shift down and then select the face loops that go around here. And now this is the place where the Alt selection will really be annoying for you. You can see that's weird. But it goes with whatever edge you're closest to, that's the direction the Alt select will select. Like that, and like that. We can select these two. Now, we could extrude these, but we want them to be a little bit separate so we can control it a bit more. So instead, we're going to press Shift and D to duplicate, and this will just duplicate the faces inside of our object. So this means we can move this around, but we don't really want to. So we can right click and our duplicates are still here, but they're just snapped back into place. In case that you have left clicked and accepted their position outside, Control Z will snap them back into their original position. All right. And now we want to scale them outward like we did originally because they have to bulge out a little bit on the barrel. So we're going to press S, Shift Z, and then just take it out a wee bit, like so. I'll just do that whole thing again. Selected those two edge loops, Shift D to duplicate, and then S, Shift Z to extrude them out, or to scale them out. Tryk 3 for at gå i fag. Det er du allerede. I to. Yeah, okay, I can do that. So, just going to reiterate again. So, Alt, Shift, select the face loops. Shift D to duplicate them. And then right click to make sure they're in their original position. S, Shift, Z. And then I can extrude them out so that they are further out from the barrel. All right. I did. Do you want me to do it again? I will do it again. Don't worry. All right. We do Alt and Shift and select the face loops. Shift D to duplicate. Right click to have them snap back into their position. S, Shift, Z to scale them outward like this. Okay. Yeah. All right. Mito will help you. Yeah. All right. All right. So for that issue, that's going to happen for a lot of people. So, all right. So this might happen to a lot of people. It is simply switching view modes. What you do here is you switch to wireframe view. It could be very useful, but pressing Shift and Z will get you back to shaded view. Yeah. Yeah, we can do a quick intermission. So, since apparently Vidar is telling me that this, or not Vidar, Mito is telling me that this has become my my sort of catchphrase thing, that I know funny facts. I figured out recently that barrels isn't actually a term for anything. It's a size. It's not an object. It's the size of a casket, a barrel. The term is actually a casket. That's the word for this object, and barrel's just the size of that. And you go quarter cask for the tiny ones that people make whiskey in. And you go a drum for the biggest one, which is like 400 liters. It's giant. So yeah, barrels are more complicated than I expected. All right. It seems like a lot of people. How is everybody at home doing with their barrels? All right. Let me remember the exit.
Yeah, well, speaking
Shifting.
of the people at home, we have Toke who got stuck with the edge loop and then figured out themselves, which I'm very happy to see.
Perfect.
Good job.
Yeah, wonderful.
And hopefully you
it's-
guys can follow along and the sound quality is okay and everything is good. You're enjoying the beautiful sight of Chalford being in the hot seat here.
Yeah, it's really hot. This ring light brings off a lot more
Yeah.
light than heat than I expected.
Do you want me to bring more lights to you?
No, less. Like, I'm not kidding. When I sit and work at home, I sit in darkness.
Yeah. Chat saying, by the way, Tim says terribly. Helen says doing fine. Didi says looking like a barrel.
That's
And
great.
Lucas good. Edgar is I have a cube. He has a cube. He's somewhere in the beginning.
Well, that's a good. You have to start somewhere.
Talk is fine, and Christian says works. Perfect.
Yeah, great.
Gustafsson, is that Icelandic? Looks like Icelandic. Good, and everybody's happy. I
I'm
just give up.
just
I'll
gonna
watch
stay.
again later. Okay, Edgar, that's fair.
stay.
Don't worry, we have next week something happening, but you've got the replay here. You can catch us there.
Yeah, I think the replays stay permanently now, don't they?
Yes, the replays are staying. No more Twitch, no more deleted replays.
Yeah, so replays stay permanently. You can always watch them in case you want to redo it.
But it's more fun live because you get to talk with us.
Yeah. All right. So, is everybody with us? We got our duplicates. We got our bands here. So, need to remember to let my mouth catch up to my hands. We're going to press 2 to go to edge mode. Hold Alt and Shift down and select the 4 edges, well, 4 edge loops of our bands here. And now we want to extrude these. So we press E, S, Shift, Z, and we want them to penetrate our barrel. So the reason why we want to penetrate them and not have them like inches apart is because that will catch light and might make things look a little bit weird. So as a general thing, when we're doing 3D, we don't try, if things are like this close together, we don't try to make it look like, we don't try and make it realistic. We just have them penetrate into objects because that's actually going to look more realistic than aiming for realism. All right. So this is still a little bit low poly, but it is a barrel for all intents and purposes. We are going to do a little bit of extra thing to it that might not seem intuitive from the beginning, but I will show you why we do this. So if I go out of edit mode, you don't have to follow along on this, but if I go out of edit mode, you can see here that the top of my barrel sort of disappears into the lip. And that is because corners inside 3D are sharper than any corner in the real world would be. If you have a 90-degree corner inside 3D, that corner is 90 degrees, and it is sharper than any kitchen knife in the world. So we need to make sure that they're not that sharp, because every corner, you can look at your tables, you can look at your monitors, you can look at it, whatever you want. You'll realize that there's actually a little bit of extra material there that will catch light. So we gotta go in, we gotta add that corner, and we're gonna use our bevel tool to do that. Here, oh, I'm pressing tab to go in between object and edit mode. You can also go up here in left-hand corner and switch. There's a lot of different modes up here. Don't worry too much about it. It's object and edit mode, that's the most. All right. So what we want to do is we want every edge to be a little bit more visible, to catch a little bit more light. This will give our objects better definition. And this doesn't really matter if you're going super high poly, super round. You still want those edges to have a little bit more definition, a little bit more visibility, right? So we are going to go into edge mode. We're going to hold down our Alt and our Shift, and we're going to select every edge we know that is going to be sharp. So on the sides of the bands, of the lip, and of the lids top and bottom here. Do note that because even though this looks like an edge loop around the top, because it has 3 edges going into it, it doesn't understand which way the edge loop goes, so you'll have to select each side of the top and bottom by itself. And then we're going to press Ctrl B, and then instead of having a big bevel, we're going to make it a little bevel. And this is just to catch light. And you can actually make this fairly small and still get a good result. You can see here, all the edges are a lot more defined now. You can, of course, also make it bigger if you want that. And then have a bit more stylized, cartoony barrel if you want. All right. And now you can see when I look at my barrel from the same angle, this might disappear into each other, but it definitely does not disappear into the lid. Every section is now more defined and stands out from each other, so they don't blend into each other inside the light. And that is very important. to have. So I was in edge mode, and then I just, oh, let me go back. I had all these edges selected, and then Control B. Yeah, and then I just made a tiny bevel onto it.
Helen also asked, what buttons did you use to cap it?
To cap it?
Yeah, might have been the same answer you just gave. What buttons did you use to cap it?
Cap it? To make the lid?
I think that might be what she means, yeah. Yeah.
All right, well, I'll just make a quick tiny lid on top of our lid. I pressed I to inset, E to extrude, I to inset, E to extrude upwards then. Then you can see I get this little lip, and I just did that bigger, but I had both the top and the bottom selected at the same time. All right. So we are reaching the 1 hour point. And yeah, so how is everybody doing at home? Following along? Is some people still doing terribly? Yeah, well, I mean, this is more or less finishing the barrel. Everything we do from here, because this could work, and I'll actually, you know, I'm going to show you how it could work. And I hope everybody is, yeah, no. So this could work for a computer game. You wouldn't, like, if you're making a computer game, you most likely would not make a barrel a lot more high poly than this, unless you're trying to impress somebody. Yes? Yeah. Okay, so that is actually a really good one. And you cannot help with that one, because you don't know. So this one is actually me. You need to press tab. Tab, sådan så at du kommer ind i... ja, højreklik for at komme ud af den. Så tryk på tab, sådan så du kommer i object mode. Sådan der. Ctrl A. Og så siger du all transforms. Og så går du tilbage ind, og så burde den virke. That is clear history.
That's weird.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. S-shift Z. Så trykker jeg på A, før jeg trykker på S.
All right. So,
Alright.
by the way, do we have, hold on, Chris was writing me about something called show off, where they can see the keys you're clicking on.
I did have that installed, but it's been deleted from the computer. Let me just check my plugins.
Okay. Chris is our IT expert,
Yeah.
watching from
What's up?
home as well.
Got it installed? Okay. Let me just quickly show this, and then I will...
We have also a couple that
Oh, I
comments
do
from the
have
chat.
them. Yeah. But we have a more... we actually have a issue that might be a little bit pressing. Let me just... Can I pick that one? No.
Yeah, so Helen was asking the buttons to use to cap it. She meant to make the barrels bands whole.
Oh, we don't. So that is sort of a old thing that everything needs to be solid. Very few things, unless you're doing simulations, need to be whole. You can have incomplete meshes. I do need to go over there and help, because I don't think anybody else can.
Let's catch the... Oh, you know, I'll engage with the chat in a
Yeah,
while.
you engage with the chat. I will find the mute button. That's the...
Hello there. You should be able to hear me. Hi. I'm the guy sitting and moderating in the background. Tim, I'm glad to hear that you said, oh yes. I think that was to the question of how are you doing? And I think you're well, which I'm glad to hear. Stein says, rewatching the recording from the beginning came a bit late. I get that, no worries. It will be online and will be live here for you to watch afterwards. And Toge lot of deeper explanations of the things I've seen in multiple Blender tutorials taken for granted. Yeah, I mean, this is hopefully what we can bring to you guys with this live stream, that you guys will be able to get more in depth. You can ask some of these questions. We will, as we finish it up here in a moment, we'll also have a Q&A. So you get to have more time talking with Chalvo over here, who is an industry professional, and he will be able to tell you some of the things from the industry, how it works, and hopefully also get in touch with a little bit more of the theory, which is really, really interesting. So if you guys have questions, you can feel free to post those in the chat now, and I'll make sure to collect them for the end of the stream till we have a Q&A. And of course, if you got feedback for how we can do better here, please also let us know that. Of course, you can't see this, but we've got about 16 people physically here as well at the school. So we've got, last I checked, we got 28 people watching us live, and 16 here physically. So we're trying to help everybody. I see some people over here looking like they have some questions. Yeah? They do? Okay. We'll try and some. Next time, we'll just duplicate Mito. Mito is our third-year student who's helping out with our Blender course here. We'll just duplicate him so you have several of him for next time. That would be great, right? Would be nice to have short keys written somewhere, miss stuff by trying to follow, but then forgetting what I clicked. We'll write it down. You know what? I get that, Ruder. We usually have this clicking thing, and I think actually maybe he got it working now. So if yeah, look at that. It actually worked. Now when I click up and down, oh shit, I shouldn't do that. Sorry. But now, you still have the stream, I think, or did I just mess that up? Oops. 3D left, 3D right. I think we need to go here. Yeah, that should be better, right? Or was it over here? I think you had it like this, right? This is the stream. Sorry about that. But Ruda, what I wanted to point out to you is that we now have our clicking here again. So if I do arrow up or down, I can see left mouse is working. There we go. That's what I wanted to show. We were supposed to have this on. Technical error that we didn't. I apologize for that. Next time we start the stream, we'll for sure have that on, so you will be able to follow along whatever is clicking on that tracker in the corner. It's time to apply to study CADA 2 weeks ago. Hey, we're so happy to hear that. Still waiting for your review, but I wanted to ask, do new students always start after the summer? Yeah, we have study start once per year, which is in August. But we are trying to get you some material that you can do in the meanwhile to kind of keep you active. For one thing, 3D Bootcamp is a place where you can get started. But of course, this is mainly for just basics and getting into it. If you want to get like the fundamentals, we have a course called 3D Fundamentals. I don't know if you've done that one yet, but otherwise I would make sure you grab that and get that and get the 3D Fundamentals. It's actually also Chalfe who's in charge of making that one. And if you want more, let us know and we'll try and see what we can do and what we can figure out. Chris says the only thing better than Mito is 2 Mizos. Yes, please. Yeah, I was joking with him. We need to copy you to get you more. This is Mito. He's been running around to try and get everybody helped out. Yeah, he's also the one chatting with you on here. I don't know anything about Blender. I'm sorry. We have someone here. Best. E shift set to make the bands good. Some other button, it goes all over.
Okay, so you don't want to hold all 3 at the same time. You press E, and then you let go of E, and then you hold Shift, and then press Z at the same time. And that should do it in that specific angle, or like towards when you're shaping it, basically. So you don't want to hold E at the same time. That's, yeah.
Good job, fantastic. That should help, yeah. DJ Satori, was that you from Japan? Konnichiwa. I do know my way around Blender, but I'm interested in seeing if the school is for me, but I love how you use Blender. If you're interested in seeing if the school is for you, I would recommend you to come to our open house on the 24th of November, where you can meet staff and you can meet students. Basically, we were going to be arranging a small presentation of about 20-30 minutes, where some of the staff is going to present to you what the programs are here. Then we're going to have these small islands where current students are showing different things they're working on, like the Game World project from first year, movie mashup, Daddy-O, like with game design. So there's different things where you can go and visit the students and see what they're doing. And after that, we're going to have the 4th week of 3D Bootcamp, where we were gonna have the animation. So the 4th week is animation, and it's also open house at the school. You can join for that. Fantastic, yeah. Welcome, welcome. You can sign up on the website as well. Let me see. We had also Stein asked me, like, can you send me the links? Yes, I will send you the links in the chat in a moment. Trying to learn Japan. I mean, I don't speak Japanese. I speak French though. Yeah, welcome to come by. Christian used, I got enrolled for the school this year. The amount of knowledge I've got from this August and now I'm making short 3D movies is amazing. We'll commend to him. Oh, that's nice. Did I pay him to say that? No. Yeah, so I think Christian actually will be there at the open house, so you can even ask him and talk to him and be like, hey, how's it been at the school? What is it like? You know, ask them from the people that are studying here. I think it's the best. Let's see. Do we have anything else? I'm gonna get Calvin back here in a second to close off, but if you have any questions for him, anything about the barrel, anything about anything else 3D related, then we're here for that. And yeah, I'll just get the links into you, Steins. No problem. All right, I'm gonna call Chapper back here. He's still working on a barrel over here. You know what I'll do in the meantime? A little sneaky. I'm gonna grab the camera. Look at this, look at this. All right, here we go. I'm just gonna show you around. We got the backdrop here, and we got some students over here, or at least guests over here. Hi there. Anybody want to say hi to the stream? Someone over there is saying hi. Got over here the other guys. Me too helping someone out over there. Chelfa helping out someone over there. And yeah, this is the school. This is the 2nd year class. And we've borrowed their computers for the stream today. Okay. Well, we know before the start of the course whether or not we'll use ZBrush Mini. Yeah, you know what, Toka, I'm so glad you mentioned that. We had a small issue with ZBrush Core Mini is that the link that we've put on our website is changed. So you will not be able to find the free version there, but I updated that link just before we started. And if you go there now, you will find that there is another one. Dual booting, we don't want that booting back and forth. We will be using ZBrush Core Mini, I think, for the next time. We're doing Shelfa says next time we are doing ZBrush Core Mini, so we're going to be doing sculpting there, and yes, we'll be using that on the website on 3D Bootcamp. If you scroll down, let me just double check it's working. If you scroll down on the website of 3D Bootcamp, there is the download ZBrush Core Mini here link. You click that one, it will now take you to Maxon, where you can get it for free. So it's still free, and we'll be using it. The link is now updated. You can find it for free as well. You have to register for theirs. It's a little bit different. I'm not sure why they changed that, but I think maybe Chelsea can explain that when he's back. We don't want to get into explaining that one, so never mind. But main point is that yes, we're using it. Yes, it is free, and it's on the link on the website now, so you can still find it there. You guys have any other questions? I think otherwise I'll get Chelsea back here too.
Hello? I am live. I'm back to being where I need to be. Sorry, we had a issue that needed a experienced set of hands and eyes. So, yeah. So we've created our bevels. These are little edges and things like that. If we want to go into more definition, So I've already shown you guys the whole way of turning a cube into a octagon or sphere. We could round the whole thing out more by adding the same edge loops to it. Or let's cheat a little bit today, just for today. We are going to go in and we're going to define what we want to be our hard edges. So just like we just used a bevel, we're going to go in and we're going to define a little bit more, right? So everything we just beveled, we're going to select again because I am annoying like that. Oh, there we go. Just like this. I am in edge mode. Edge mode. So I'm just selecting all the edges we just beveled. So I selected every bevel we did. Oh, I have an extra one in there. I don't want that one. So everything we just beveled, we want to make sure that these bevels stay, right? So we're going to right click. We're going to get this very big comprehensive menu up. Now the one we're looking for is called Edge Crease. The shortcut is Shift E, but this will bring up what looks like no tool at all. But if we pull on it, we can see that our edges turn pink. This means these edges have now been defined as hard. So even if we go back to object mode, things won't change. But we're going to do something to it in a second. But these need to be defined as hard because we want to keep these shapes, right? All right. What did I do? I asked myself the same question. So with everything selected, I right-clicked and I chose Edge Crease or Shift E. And then we can pull our cursor and this will turn everything pink. Now the pink color means it is hard and the orange color means it's soft. We want it to be hard, so it needs to be pink. And then left click to accept it. And now we're going to work a little bit of Blender magic. So we are going to procedurally add extra smoothness to our barrel. So out here in our properties tab, we're going to go into what's called modifiers. This little blue spanner that is out on the left-hand side. And under add modifier, we are going to add the subdivision surface. And you can suddenly see our barrel has become a lot rounder. But the edges that we defined as hard are hard and will continue to be hard no matter how many times we subdivide this. And don't test the subdivide because it can make your Blender crash. That used to be an old joke in 3D that you'd go into somebody's scene, you'd make a cube and subdivide it 900 times. Every time you subdivide something, every face gets split into 4. And then you would hide the object, but that doesn't matter because it still counts on the computer's RAM. And then their scene just wouldn't work. They would come back from lunch break and they would just sit there like, what's going on? My computer's frozen. I can't do anything. And yes, me and my old classmates did do this to each other a lot. It was great. And in the end, your 3D program will just crash and close down and tell you, I don't have any save. Too bad. All right. So we have a cage when we're in edit mode around our object when we add the subdivision surface. That is because it shows us the original topology, the original model on top of it. If we go back into object mode, we can now see our barrel as it is. Or as it is with the modifier on top, of course. And now this is a very nice barrel. And there we go. So how do they turn pink? Great, we're just gonna go in here. You select an edge, and you can either press Shift E, increase it. You can also do this afterwards. I just like doing it before. Press Shift E to turn them pink, or you can right click and find the one called Edge Crease. Yeah, you. Oh yeah, sorry. So you pull your mouse cursor far away, and Blender has what's called infinite scrolling, which means if you scroll outside of 3D viewport, your mouse will just turn up on the other side, and you continue in doing this infinitely. Though edge crease just goes from 0 to 1.
Master.
Yes. Oh, that's interesting.
Right?
Yeah, I will get to you. I will get to you too. All right. Well, we've been going for an hour, and normally at this time we go for a break. So I think it's time to get a break. Everybody stand up, look out the window at the dark winter sky, or I guess if you're in Australia, dark summer sky, and then we'll get back. I need a cup of tea because my throat's getting dry, and everybody needs to catch up and do stuff. I don't know if you guys want to talk to the stream or if I should put it on pause. All right, great. Vidar will come around. I will just do a quick run and help the people here live. Great.
All right, guys, just to have you with us still, Mito and I were going to sit here and chat with you a little bit. Mito is a third-year student. He's currently at Daddio. Can we get this webcam a little bit down? Can you hold this?
Sure.
It's on, right?
Is it muted?
I think you muted now.
Hello. Nope, we're good.
Oh.
Hello. Sick.
Just to take a look at this.
Hi. Hello.
There we go.
Oh, full body cam. Sick.
Full body cam. All right, there we go. So, Mito, we need to start for you as well. Or that.
I can do.
That's casual.
I can do the casual.
Oh, you have turned both on? I don't know if that's smart. If it's going to be double audio. Which one is on? Two stooges with a microphone.
All right, we can do this. It's fine.
Yeah, I think one is enough.
Okay.
Right, so Mito is our assistant teacher for today, helping out with the Blender, physically and also live. And he's basically a student right now, third year, and doing Daddio. Do you want to tell about what Daddio is?
Sure. So Daddio is a game production that includes a lot of different universities throughout Denmark that comes together with a lot of different roles, programmers, art director, producer, game designers, 3D artists, and we basically make a game together for half a year. In our case, we're making 3 games. We've made 2, which is like make a game in 1 week. It's pretty crazy. And then, okay, sick. I'm gonna seal this chat. And then we basically come together and we make a game for like, what is it, like a couple of months. And that's what I'm doing right now. So I have a lovely team of people, and we're making a really cool game.
What kind of idea are you working on? What's the game project you're working on?
Oh, okay. So the game we're making, we came up with, we want to make a top-down boss battle.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'll play
So
that. I don't know how to play it, but so far,
hopefully you'll
boss
play
battles are, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Wait, are we talking about the train game? No, that's something else, right?
No, that's a board game.
Yeah, that's, I like that.
We also made a board game, which is like so good. Like you should definitely buy it when it comes to the stores. In like, give it 5 years or something. That'd be great. No, but right now we're doing computer games, and yeah, so that's what we're doing. And a boss battle where we're basically fighting a Lovecraftian monster, one of the old ones, like Cthulhu type of thing. Wow, nice interview.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's about what we're working on.
That's very cool. Do you guys have any questions for that kind of project? What it requires to make a game like that and design it? What it requires in terms of the other collaborations you're doing with the other schools and other like universities? If you guys have any questions also for the school, we have Mito here also for that. Technically, also if you have any questions about the barrel, he's also able to answer those questions.
I'll try. I'm trying to be in chat also when people are struggling, but there are a lot of people, so everyone needs help.
Stein says that sounds sick. But he might be starting at CADA, it seems like.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's the one who was asking about 3D fundamentals earlier, and
Oh.
he said he signed up and sent the application 2 weeks ago. And Is it made in Unity?
We are using Unity, yeah. So that's the main game. Game. What's it called? A game.
The game engine?
Yeah, game engine. That's it. What?
I
Yeah.
knew something. Yes.
Oh, you're so good. You're really learning.
I'm really learning. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's, I don't like it.
That's great. Yeah, we're using Unity, and personally, I can explain who I am. So I'm a third year student. I'm on. What semester am I on?
That
Fifth
would
semester.
be the 5th semester,
Yeah,
right?
I'm on fifth semester, which is the Daddio semester, and I am an animator. Because I really
He's a
like
good
animation.
animator.
Thank you.
You made the winning thing at the summer competition, right?
I did.
You did. Actually, we can share that.
I mean,
We've
it
got
wasn't
Instagram
animation,
open.
but yeah.
Nah, that's true, but it was still cool. Mito is also a big fan of Riot Games and League of Legends, and we had a summer competition during summer, obviously, and we had like students make different work where it was characters in summer themed environments, and one of them was yours. This super cool thing here. I'm just gonna share the link with you guys so you can check it out there. Let's see, live stream here. So here is the link to his. What is this, by the way?
So in the post that you're getting, there are two pictures, two winners from
Yep.
2 different years.
Yes.
Mine is the second one. It is a character from League of Legends called Fizz. If anyone plays League, you would know. He's basically like this small fish dude that has a shark as a pet, and he's really cute and annoying, but he's very cool.
I've played him. You catch them with the shark, and then the enemies get
Yeah, yeah,
eaten.
yeah.
It's very terrible to see,
It's great.
especially on Earth mode.
Oh, that's horrible.
Yeah. Is a lot of people only taking the courses online? I'm also going to school in Netherlands, so it would be nice to know whether or not that would hold me back. I mean, if you're thinking about the full 3DDA, which is a 3.5-year education, basically on the level of something of a bachelor, then that would be very difficult to take. If you're talking about 3D fundamentals and getting the basics, that you can do online for sure. But yeah, I think actually, you know what, Toki, reach out to us and we can see how we can help you specifically with that. And yeah, we still see only Blender. Yeah, Steins, you gotta click the link I shared.
Yeah.
I can't really screen share. It's on different. The stream is on one place and the YouTube is on another one. So the link I shared is the link to the work they did.
No, actually,
We could. I don't know how, and we just set that up. We can have that ready for next time, maybe. It's just in different places. But the link I sent is from Instagram. You will see the winner from first year. This was made by. Is she actually here still? She's here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Caroline is here. She made this one. And then Mito made this beautiful fist thing. So you have to click the link to actually see that one.
Yeah. Actually.
Yeah, but Toki, I would recommend write us on the contact form on the webpage and ask how we can help you out with that. You want to show it with the... yeah, you can probably do that. Okay. Mic is working right now. I think I'm muted. Just check the mic is on.
We can show this.
Yeah, is the mic on? Just
Uh,
put that over there.
yeah,
Mic is
mic
on.
on.
We're good. Yeah, there we go.
Alright, so
That's perfect. Yay! Tell us about that.
This is So this is Fizz. That's the character I made from League of Legends, and that's what I won with for the competition. And then this is the other one that won. So the year under me or below me, which is class 2021. I'm 2022. No, I'm not 2022. I'm 2020. Oh, panic.
We're fine.
Yes.
They're super cool. Can we show the winter one as well? So we did also a competition last winter. A similar thing, but it was just purely winter themed.
We had it on.
It might be on the website or something then. Okay, that's annoying.
The classic.
Yeah, you have to log into Instagram to do stuff. That's so annoying. OP says no sound. The sound is back now. You want the link to Daddio? We'll find that in a moment as well. I think we can get that. I was thinking of 3D fundamentals. Yeah, that's not a problem. You can follow along with that one. And yeah, just write us. That's the easiest thing. Then our administration can help you to get the right product for you. It looks 2D. How did you make it use? How did you make it cell shaded?
Oh, okay. So so the program I used is called ZBrush to sculpt it. Then we have to go.
Yeah, just throw it back on the stream so they can see it at the same time.
Okay. So
Typical for artists is like just showing it off very quickly, being like, "Oh, I'm embarrassed about it," and then going away for something else. It's cool though. We love seeing it.
okay. So what I use the program ZBrush to make it, and that is horrible.
Oh
That is
god,
annoying.
freaking. Okay, the link is not working.
All right.
Never mind.
You saw it before,
Yeah.
but there is a plugin that you can buy to ZBrush that is called something. That basically helps. It basically sets up the normal. It sets up this like shading type of thing, and then you can go in and change that up yourself manually to make it look like a certain way and stuff. So it's basically a plugin for this program.
Did you sculpt the whole thing or separately then compiled it?
Well, first of all, I blocked it out in separate like pieces, so each leg being one piece, like body parts and stuff. But I sculpted it all in like one place basically, at the same time. So I blocked it out, all of it, where it looked really bad, basically. And then afterwards, I went in and made all the details and stuff on everything. I made the shark separately, and then put the shark in, but the rest of the character. You should be now.
Yeah. No.
Oh, blenders? Well, you're showing it now.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, and then
And well done.
that's about it.
That's about it.
And then the hats I made as an extra thing because it's cute. Specifically for the summer vibe of the competition. So yeah. Well, actually, I got help from the almighty master Chelfer to make a really simple hat, and then I took it into ZBrush, so that was also made separately, and then I went in and changed some things and put colors on it and added the cell shading and all that good stuff. So,
That's one thing I like about the school is that whenever you have a project you're working on, there's always like multiple people helping out and supporting you in that journey.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of universities or schools you go to, it's like competitive, like, oh, I won't share my notes with you because you're gonna just copy them. But here it's actually like we will help you to make something really cool and it's really artful.
100%.
It's just, yeah.
It's like it's kind of dumb not to, because if you help them, they can get they become faster, meaning they will also learn things that you might not know, and then they can help you and so on. It's just like it's a good vibe to go back and forth and helping people. So that's definitely a good skill to to accomplish when you're doing things like this, I feel.
For sure. Love it. All right, we've got no more comments in here, and I think with respect for our time and to get you guys finished off with the barrel, I will get Chelfer to come back here and to do the rest of what is left of the barrel. And if you guys are interested in like things like we do more podcasts, things like this, or talking with students or talking with staff, you can let us know in the chat as well. But yeah, I heard the community is great. I'd say it's pretty great.
It's so chill.
Yes.
Like specifically, I'm a lot on Twitter, and there are a lot of art people on Twitter, and people are so nice. It's so comforting. And there are a lot of like communities and like Discord and stuff where you can also get to talk to people, and there's always someone to help you out. So it's a great vibe overall when talking with 3D people.
Yes.
It's pretty sick.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we'll get Chelfer back here, and to finish off the stream, we'll catch you guys in a bit.
Hello. Okay, sick. All right. The almighty master is going to be in a bit. So I'm the substitute teacher for now. Hi, nice to meet you. Are there any? All right, story time. Is there any information I haven't shared? Yes. I mostly do animation. All right. Like, oh, never mind. All right, he's back. All right, you can have him back. It's cool.
All right. So I think that's it for today. We have created a barrel, we've created the bands, and we faked the... Do you need help again? I will get to you. So I like to end out with a Q&A session where people can ask questions a little bit more, less towards what we're currently making, more about industry, school, things like that, and give you guys an answer, give you guys a little bit of an insight or just anything. You can ask whatever you want. I'm just not qualified to answer everything. So, yeah. And that's also from the live stream. If anybody has industry questions, I will also answer them there.
I'm a study student.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I fixed it. Yes. No problem.
We have one question here
No, it
from
was perfectly fine. You just had a little bit of extra selection on the top. It's perfect.
one question from Sundry Bar, which is, what software are you using for textures and materials? That might actually be for me too. I'm not sure if that's for...
So actually, that depends on who you are, because so at the school we have access to Substance Painter, which is what is currently the industry standard for texturing 3D objects. But for me personally, I use a program called Quixel Mixer because I think it works just as fine as Substance Painter, and it has a better price. As in, it's free, so anybody can use it, download it. That's why I like it. Apart from that, I mean, you can use Blender. Blender does have a texturing feature. It hasn't been updated for 7 years, but it's there. There are also there's a lot of other programs for this, honestly. Texturing is Substance Painter, Quixel Mixer, Armor Painter's free as well. Marvelous Designer is more expensive than everything else. And Mari is also expensive. And then Marmoset Toolbag's more of a render, but you can texture in it. And some of that doesn't make sense. I'm sorry.
ZBrush,
Yeah, you can texture in ZBrush, but why would you?
Sculpting, but like...
Yeah. I guess you can texture in Maya, but you really wouldn't. No. You can texture in Blender. Like, Blender has some features that are good. Its shading is really good. Yeah.
DJ Zorias, or rather says, I love the 3D community on Twitter.
I'm not on Twitter.
Okay, well,
Yeah, I'm not on Twitter.
It's great.
that's great. Steinsey asks, do you cover Unreal Engine at CADA?
Yes, I am the local Unreal Engine expert, actually, here. So I am the person who is teaching Unreal Engine and making sure that our knowledge on Unreal Engine is up to date with the latest technology. That also means I have the most powerful computer at the school.
All right, we have another question from Olga, which is, is it mandatory to know how to draw to become an animator?
No. Mito, can you draw? Okay, Mito
cannot
can't draw, and he is
at
way
all.
better animator than I can. I can sort of draw, but it is not a requirement to be good at 3D at all. It is one of those things where if you have experience with aesthetics, with artistic things, then the visual part of 3D might be a little bit more natural to you in the beginning. Like, if you know something looks good, you're more inclined to go, or if you can see something isn't perfect, isn't good, and you have a little bit of artistic sense, you're more inclined to go, I'll just work a little bit more on it instead of saying, oh, that's fine. And that's about the only thing that will give you, but that's something you'll get in a few months anyway. We see with our first semester right now, there were a few people who'd been doing Blender for years or had been doing 3ds Max or Maya for years, but we're 3-4 months in, and the level in the class has sort of flattened out. Not that the good people have gotten worse, but everybody else has reached their point. So it's not as much like, oh, you have to be able to do this from the beginning. We'll get you to that point. We know how it is to start off not knowing anything. I worked at a graveyard before I took this education and had not touched 3D ever. And I came in and I learned 3D well enough to sit here.
I would say when it comes to the whole drawing thing, me specifically, I'm not on the camera, but I'm talking behind the scenes. I've never really been able to draw. I can draw stickman. That's pretty good, I would say. But it certainly helps you, especially when you're like trying to create interesting poses and stuff. Because if you're already used to drawing poses for humans or whatever type of things you're drawing, it's like it'll help you get a sense of, all right, this makes sense, which might be harder for someone who doesn't know or hasn't drawn. So it definitely was for me at the beginning. I think if I drew, it would have helped a lot at the beginning, but at this point, it's like now I'm just a good animator, and I don't really need to learn how to draw. So yeah, it's a bonus.
Okay. We also take questions from you guys here. So if you have questions physically, we can also take those. But we would ask that you be on the microphone so the stream can actually hear what the question was. Otherwise, it's like someone answering, but no idea what the question was.
Or we will repeat it if you don't want your voice.
We can also just repeat it. That's true. Yeah, we can also repeat it if you're shy to be on the microphone. So up to you guys. But don't know if it was mentioned, but 3D Code is also a good texturing program.
Yes, especially since they got purchased by an Australian company and they have done wonders for it. And they haven't upped the price at all, but they really did great on that program. That's true. Thank you for reminding me.
There you go. OP says, will you get 4090 soon? And thoughts on any hardware in 3D?
Well, so it really depends on what you're doing. If you're modeling, if you're texturing, if you're animating, nobody's getting a 4090. Just nobody in 3D is getting a 4090. Yes, but yeah, but also at a workstation, you wouldn't get a 4090. 4090s are for rendering. They are for post work. So if you're sitting and doing, like, cutting all the 3D together with live action or cutting it together with other 3D footage, that's when you need that computing power. This, in and of itself, is not that. It is heavy compared to a lot of things you do with a computer. It's heavier than Word, it's heavier than Excel, it's heavier than Google. But in and of itself, it doesn't need much more than, I think 1070s are good enough. I'm using a 1070 at home. I think the only difference between my machine and this machine is mine has a better CPU. But that's it. So I'm sitting on a 30, what are they called, 3080s? Yeah, I'm sitting on a 3080s, and we can see and I've been lending my computer out to students because they have a deadline tomorrow on delivery. And their renders go from an hour and a half to 11 minutes per frame, because you need to render 100 frames for a sequence. But so that sort of is important. But then again, some people's frames just take 11 minutes on these computers. Other people went a little bit harder on it and then had, like, hour and a half per frame. So they're now taking everybody else's computer. There's actually those two were rendering when I got in here, and I had to turn it off. And I have to write the students that they need to come in and render. So, yeah, graphics cards are only important for certain positions. Don't need them in every position.
I think that also answered the question from Steinsey here, who says, do you think the NVIDIA and its technology where they are able to retexture all graphics will be utilized in the 3D design?
Wait, repeat that, but slower.
Do you think the new NVIDIA technology, where they are able to retexture all graphics, will be utilized in 3D design?
I need that rephrased.
Yeah, I think so as well.
Either somebody else needs to explain it to me, or I need it rephrased.
Yeah, Stein, so maybe try and rephrase it. Ruda writes, I'm a professional artist and designer. Wish there was more online courses, but can't afford Copenhagen right now. I would love to study. We'd love to have you here. I think in terms of affordability, I don't know which country you're in right now, but yeah, you can always talk to the administration here and see if there's somewhere. Tim says, I assume a background in filmmaking also helps, no? Or do people from outside direct projects?
So, like I said before, before I started here, I was working at a graveyard. I was literally digging graves. Before that, I was a sailor. And before that, I worked as a kindergarten teacher. I worked as a drawing instructor for 7 years. That doesn't mean I can draw. That just means I know more than 12-year-olds do. And I was a swimming instructor for 7 years as well. I have a lot of experience in teaching, very little experience in 3D before I started. And even in filmmaking, no experience. I started and I'm fairly good at it now. And of course, you can always get better. Everybody can. If you stop thinking you should get better, you're not going to improve and you're not going to get to where you want to get. So you should always keep on trying and then be kind to yourself.
That's nice. Ruda, I'll just quickly follow up on yours. You said you're in open row, so you're in Denmark, which means you would qualify probably for SU and also the SU supplement. I would recommend come to the open house on the 24th and talk with them and see if there's some possibility for you if you want to start. Veronica writes, would you say there is a market for 3D in Denmark outside of game development field?
So game development field is definitely the fastest growing one in Denmark. We have, as of last time I checked, we have 736 game companies in Denmark. 300 and something of them are in Copenhagen alone. It's the fastest growing, but it's the least funded, with only 16% of Nordisk Film's budget going to games. That doesn't really matter because games pay for themselves very quickly. Well, as soon as they're released. And apart from that, 3D is branching out into multiple different industries. We have 2 interns right now at a medical company. And what they're doing is they're doing infographics for doctors to show how new gadgets work and things like that. VR is still a thing, even though it hasn't really gone anywhere for the last 6 years. AR is becoming a big thing. Architects use it a lot, and I know one architect, and he says 3D artists are a boon to have because they actually know what they're doing, and architects are just sort of moving things around. But that might be because he's 60, so I don't know. Banks. I have a friend who works at a bank. And he's actually doing 3D for a bank, which sounds weird, but yeah, he's doing infographics and special effects for presentations and stuff like that. Because if they can go out and have a presentation at some big conference that looks amazing and better than everybody else's, then it's worth the investment of having a 3D artist there. Yeah, and of course film. We have a bunch of film companies in Denmark that are also doing VFX and 3D. So there is a industry for it. We are definitely doing more virtual production as well. Like said, I'm researching into that, and we are getting to a place where there will actually be virtual production inside Denmark, which is pretty cool. So it is definitely just a growing industry, and it will continue to grow.
Someone is asking how hard it is to get someone physically is asking how hard it is to get a job within the industry.
Well, that really depends on where you want to go. So it also depends on how long you're willing to work for it. Because once you're done here, you're going to come out as a junior most of the time. And I've had friends who've gone from juniors to seniors in 6 months. And I have friends that after 6 years are still juniors. And the only difference between them is one of them was willing to learn. The other one was, I get paid. I'm fine. I don't need to learn anything more. I don't need to evolve. Because this is art, an artistic thing. So you need to continue to master. You need to continue to do things. And it's not like you need to spend 8 hours every day after work to get better. It's more just, oh, this is interesting. I'll take a look at that. Or, oh, I'm doing a personal project and I want it to look like this and this and this. That will automatically like breed a bit of evolution in your own skills and make you better. And if you do that, then the companies will also see, oh, you're better than you were 6 months ago. Get in, get up. There's plenty of jobs all the time. I'm weirdly enough right now sending LinkedIn job applications to students who are graduating in December. Like, I need to find a job. Here's 5. I need to find a job in this. Here's 6. So there's plenty. There's a lot. And with more and more studios going remote, you don't even have to. You can stay in Denmark but work in other countries. So that's also a possibility.
But it's also a lot about connections.
Well, there's connections. There's also just being a little bit outgoing.
Right.
I'm not
socializing.
like contrary to what I am showing off today, I'm not outgoing. I like to sit alone on my couch in snugly comfy clothes and not talk to anybody. But I can be outgoing and do just spending a little bit of time texting people, saying, hey, what's up, connecting. That goes a long way.
It does.
All right, a few more questions here. Helen, I'll get back to yours in a moment. Just Steins here, I want to cover yours first. Would you say that someone who has no 3D animation experience but has experience in coding and modding would likely be eligible for admission at CADA? I'll answer that question. On our website, we have a landing page about the 3D digital artist program. We have basically
Can you
three
do that
things.
louder for everybody here as well?
Yes, we have basically 3 things that we ask of anyone who wants to apply with us. Number 1 is you need to have a high school degree and English language proficiency, which means we're an international school, we have to speak English. The second thing is we need to send you you need to send us your creative portfolio with your application. And we have a video with that as well with information about what other students have sent in as their application. I would suggest that if you do our 3D bootcamp and you have all the materials from each week, that is most likely going to be enough to show that you have that. And the third thing is you need to have a passionate desire to master 3D digital arts and work in a creative field.
Yeah.
So that's basically it.
There are aspects of 3D that are very technical. When you get into simulation, when you get into what's called what? Rigging. Exactly. When you get into rigging, things like programming experience will be a plus because it's not quite programming, but it's in that sort of gray zone between art and programming, and having a bit of knowledge about programming will help you for those specific areas. That doesn't mean that you need to know it. It just means it'll help you, just like a creative sense will help you with other areas like sculpting, texturing, modeling.
Yeah, and by the way, me too wants to tell also what he's done. Just we have a lot of questions, so I want to go through all of them. But on the site I send you, you actually have videos with me too talking about, for example, that I think. Yeah, so actually you can just check the video on the website. It's there. Helen was asking, I'm not sure if you're asking this for the school or for Chalfe, but maybe answer for both of them, Chalfe. Do you do any VR?
Well, funny you should mention that. I just got VR working. So right now I am helping, as a part of a research project, I'm helping a Danish director make a movie, and one of the things we're doing is virtual scouting. And we're doing that in VR. And so that is sort of the extent of VR we're doing. But also the amount of things 3D artists would do for VR is pretty much the same as a student would do for any other video game. We're making 3D models and we're making textures, we're making animations. That workflow doesn't really change. So if you want to do something for VR, you can. It's the same as doing 3D for anything else.
Chris also mentioned that we have access to Quixel Mixer, and if you want to delve even further, we even have access to Foundry's Mary. I have no idea what those are, but I'm guessing those are programs that we use.
Those are all texturing software.
Thank you. Okay. Actually, on the VR thing, do you want to go to Chalfe and tell the story about how we use mocap and you did a? No, but I just kind
No,
of
mocap is something else. But yeah.
We can talk about mocap.
Sure.
Go on.
I don't. I'm not an animator.
Well, okay. So we have something called mocap too.
Motion capture.
Motion capture. So it's a cool thing you see that they do in movies where it's like someone gets a full-on bodysuit on and they do random stuff and it follows, like the character follows the movements of that. We also do that here at the school. It's pretty cool, especially the result. There's obviously more work to it to make it look good and stuff, but it's a really cool way to get some animation, because it's a lot more like realistic rather than hand animated stuff. I mostly personally specialize in hand animation rather than mocap, but it's a cool thing that we also explore. So yeah. Yes. There you go. That's it.
Great. All right. So yeah, we are doing a lot of different things, and we allow our students to experiment as much as they want with the softwares we are available. and we make sure that either we have the expertise to be of aid, or we know who we can call in to help with those specific areas that we do not have in-house. So that is another thing. We have a lot of guest teachers that we have a broad knowledge. We're all pretty much generalists as teachers, but every now and again it's good to have a specialist. And when it's good to have a specialist, we call them in and have them help the students or teach the students in a lot of cases. We have a wonderful teacher, Thomas Rodashini, in right now, and he's teaching simulation, and he is amazing at it, honestly. Was that a finger or was you? No, great. Yes. So
Yeah. So the question is about, someone says you don't have to know how to draw, but we ask for a portfolio. Yeah.
So in the past, portfolios have been everything from drawings, photographs, and well, donuts from YouTube, or, and this is very true for my class, there were people who sent in entire scripts of code that could run and then do things on a computer. And then like one of my classmates, he sent in a code, asked them, run this, which wouldn't go today. We're not going to do that. And what it did was a text-to-speech about who he was and why he wanted to get in, which was really cool. We had a guy who came in on Counter-Strike maps. He made a bunch of Counter-Strike maps that actually got accepted by Valve into one of the, I don't know, the turnaround things. Minecraft builds, any sort of idea that you like playing with this thing, and that it's something that you like being creative, you like being in this sort of weird place between technical and art, and even in your spare time, even without us, that you have a passion for this, because that passion will get you a lot further than talent will.
I've seen your video. Yeah, thanks.
There you go.
I've seen your video online that a lot of students just uploaded the how to make a donut
Yes.
thing. So are you expecting someone outstanding, or you
No.
just expecting someone
We-
who's
we-
really interested in?
We like having
Yes.
outstanding people in classes, because a lot of the time it brings the whole class up, because that one person will most of the time, in their free time with the rest of the class, because classes are in the room together, they will be talking, they'll be explaining, they will, because they're already a little bit ahead, if that can be said, they will be exploring further things or finding little quick ways of doing this, and that will then spread out into the class and raise the entire level of the class. So having an exceptional person is great, but it's only for a few months. Then the class levels out. Then everybody's sort of at the same level. So having a good, like a lot of 3D knowledge right away, sure, it's great, but we will also get everybody up to your speed. And this is sort of one of those things that I'm always afraid of when I meet people in the industry that are self-taught. There's a lot of holes in their knowledge. When you teach yourself, you have, it's the whole, like the diagram of, this is what you know, this is known unknowns, this is what you know you don't know, and this is what you don't know you don't know. Now what we really want to do is we want to make what you know bigger, and we want to make what you know you don't know even bigger than that. We want to make sure that the unknown unknowns are as small as possible. So even though you might not know a specific thing, you definitely know how to get that knowledge. And that is just as important as having it right away, is knowing where to find the next step, knowing where to get the next piece of knowledge in your artistic journey.
Yeah, but so for portfolio, literally, the one actually wrote in the chat here as well. Donuts, classic blender guru. We know the donuts. I think administration is tired of the donut. I think they would rather see shellfish barrels or shellfish dragons or something else. So if you're at bootcamp all 4 weeks, you make all the materials, I would send that. And I think administration would say, okay, this is a person we want to interview and see if they're the right fit for the school.
Yeah.
That's the main thing. Somebody's asking if there's a deadline for applying for the education. There is, of course, but we're talking summer next year. So the only, of course, apply earlier, because there are some early bird discounts in terms of registration fees that are waived if you apply earlier. But I don't have all the information with that. I would recommend go to the open house on the 24th and ask them there because they have all the details. And I think that's it for the questions in the chat.
Yeah.
And if we
So,
have no one else from
Any
physical?
final questions here for the classroom? Great. Well, then I will just say thank you for today, everybody. And of course, next step from here is join us next week. We will be sculpting, which is sort of playing around with 3D clay. We'll be making a dragon, but mostly I'll be talking about sculpting principles, and you are welcome to make whatever you want to. I will be making a dragon. I like dragons. And of course, sign up to the open house, where our headmaster and Vidar and the rest of us will be here as well to talk about more things. It's the 24th, you said?
24th of November.
24th of November. That's where we'll have open house. And yeah. Yeah, and afterwards we'll have bootcamp. And yeah, go check out our website, check out our Instagram. I know one of our students is doing this wonderful thing where can you spot if it's real or 3D, which is really fun. She's gotten me one time. She's tricked me.
She's got me
So,
7 times.
I think that's amazing. And yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed it today. I will of course be here, but you guys online.